Welcome back, Wargamers, to our exploration of the Mortal Realms, and today we're covering one that I've waited quite a while to do, and that is, of course, Hysh, Realm of Light. And I wanted to wait until the Luminous Realm Lord book came out because I had a hunch there's going to be more info about the realm, and there certainly was. So kind of combining that knowledge with the soul-bound role-playing game that's set in the Age of Sigmar, we have a lot more information, actually more than we ever had before, about the Realm of Light, which is amazing because for the last 3 years of the game, we knew like nothing. So as we get to understand the Realm of Light, we need to understand its magic. Or as I say in all these videos, each realm is essentially a disk of pure, solidified magic. In the dead center, things are incredibly tame. They're likely little to no difference from like the old world setting, like that traditional fantasy. It's just very stable environments. However, as you go towards the edges of this disk, the magic of that realm that's based upon begins to kind of warp and tint reality. To understand the vast majority of the realm, we need to understand the magical discipline of light as well. Hysh, the lore of light, also known as the white wind of magic, is a force of purity and radiance, often manifesting itself in such concepts as illumination, of course literal light, but also intellectualism, creativity, and inspiration. It's also the polar opposite of dark magics like shadow, for example. It's used to drive out the darkness and bring healing and protection in. And we're going to see a lot of concepts that are very intellectual in nature. Okay, and by intellectual I mean they're kind of hard to express physically, and that's stuff like symmetry, complex patterns, literal illumination, logic, learning, scholarship. And so the question becomes, what does a landscape, a world based on these things look like? Of course, every realm has every biome, volcanoes, tundras, forests, fields, but what do these things look like with, Hysh tinted lenses, if you will? The best way to start is to look at the realm from the sky, if you will. It's important to note that Hysh acts as the sun for the rest of the realms. The intense magics emanating from its sides and its base from the bottom produce pure, radiant light that shines on the other realms. The only time it's ever darkened is when its twin, Olgu, gets in front of it. And these two planets, Hysh and Olgu, I don't know why I just called them planets, but these realms, act as the day and night cycle for every other realm. And while we're looking at it from the sky, so many of the concepts we mentioned here are present. Perfect symmetry. The realm is made of 10 landmasses called paradises. There's Ciar, Iliatha, Emetrica, Zatric, Alumni, Helen, Orithrai, Ultrai. Zintiel is in the center, and Haxia is a ring around the edge. This combination of continents is split in two. While every citizen will recognize and honor both Tyrian and Teclis, they've each taken a more direct leadership role in a full half of the realm, right? You have the Teclian hemisphere and the Tyrian-based hemisphere. We know the children of the Teclian side now as the Luminous Realm Lords. And if you want to learn more about them, I just finished a whole week talking about them. So those are the big geographical points, right? I mean, from the biggest, wide-angle lens you can do, its shape and design, and how it fits into relation to its twin, Olgu. But what is it like to walk around in the stable parts of Hysh? It's a bit hard to find real descriptions, but what I can cobble together is based on the Luminous Realm lore as well as the Soulbound RPG. When you step into the Realm of Light, you essentially have a revolution of the mind. Thoughts, plans, and goals, and how to achieve them that once felt cloudy or uncertain become crystal clear. You think faster, deeper, and are able to problem solve on another level. We talked a bit about the enlightenment engines that Teclis gave Sigmar to help cities grow faster. Essentially, Teclis took the inspiring power of Hysh and gave it to Sigmar. He made it mobile. But that's what all of this realm is like. So it allows for artisans and architects and politicians and warriors all to learn and grow at an unprecedented rate. Technological and arcane marvels happening overnight. It's a place that is meant to bring out the fullest expression of our desires and passions by making them a clear reality. So when the story of the Lumineth that were almost no elves and then a huge population boom makes total sense to me, because they were all the makings of this great epic civilization right there. And then if everyone's thinking at warp speed, you can see how a society would boom really quickly. But there is a catch. Once you've tasted this level of mental clarity and inspiration, it's really hard to give up. Specifically for elves whose arrogance, just built-in inane arrogance, sees them always striving to master things, right? Leaving Hysh is like taking your foot off the gas when you're trying to win a race. It was this almost addictive nature to enlightenment that led to the events of the Spirefall. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Like I said, we just talked about the Luminous Realm Lord story, but the elves of Hysh had a bit of a civil war that saw incredible weapons brought to bear. So strong, in fact, that it leveled mountains, it dried up rivers, tore holes in the realm, allowing demons to pour through. I only mention it because it had a real impact on the geography of the realm, in particular the continent of Siar. Lots of destruction to nature there. Hysh, in a sense, is in a state of healing from the ravages of the Spirefall. And one element that led to such tragedy is still around. Ether Quartz, Realmstone of Hysh. The term Realmstone, it's a bit confusing because this doesn't operate like Realmstone of anywhere else. Simply because the essence of light magic doesn't solidify in the same way that it does in other realms. As with all Realmstone, Ether Quartz supercharges whatever wields it. Right? It can be used to make incredible weapons and resplendent armor, intricate jewelry, and also augment the existing, elves' arcane abilities. It was harvested, researched, and implemented on a massive scale. In fact, I don't recall hearing any other race, save Nagash and his Black Pyramid, that are focused on Realmstone to this extent. Even then, Nagash had a single use for it. He was building the Black Pyramid. The elves have hundreds. Whoever was near it would become empowered in mind and body and spirit with all the illumination and inspiration and purity of Hysh. But there's one interesting note here about the Realmstone here. It acts very, very differently from others, not just in the way it manifests. Over time, the illumination of the Realmstone would dim, and the power of Hysh would slowly be replaced by the emotions of its wielder. This is a thing that's kind of glossed over a bit in the Realm Lord's book. I kind of want more details on it, but that's what it says. It replaced the emotions with its bearer. And it's an interesting thing and really shapes the army that is the Luminous Realm Lords, because no other Realmstone that I know of takes something from its wielder. But, as was stressed, this realm's all about symmetry as well. Nothing is gained without something being lost. You take the good, it takes the bad. A natural and constant, yin and yang that keeps all things in balance. Now, the last bit I want to cover here are a few ideas on ways that you can model things to be from Hysh. And to be honest, we aren't given a lot of good, pics or artwork as to the topography of the realm, but of course we know it has every biome. But there are a few things that, kind of bits and odds and ends that I would really stress to put on some models to make them kind of feel like they're from here. A big one is books. Journals. This is a place of ideas and enlightenment, so naturally, your hero or something would want something to write down those grand thoughts, especially if they intend to leave the realm. They don't want to lose track of where their mind was before they left. For basing, things like rubble and ruin, because this place was absolutely annihilated by the Spirefall. So building your army from the ashes of these great civilizations, right? The ashes of the elven hubris that defined this place and its history is a really cool idea. Next, I'd say geometric shapes, and this one's probably a little bit harder to kind of come up with, imaginary things for, but imagine using your basing material to make any pattern, right? You could just have your little grass tufts and have them go in a symmetrical pattern around the people standing on them. Could be rocks, grass, grooves in the texture paint. Just kind of integrating patterns into your basing and that kind of thing can really go a long way. And lastly, I'd say bright colors. It doesn't have to be pastel or anything like that, but heavier on the highlights would probably reflect the fact that you're essentially standing on the sun. I want to close by talking about why do I think Hysh is a really cool place. A realm based on protection and learning and enlightenment and inspiration could be the perfect paradise. It maximizes the best part of us. But, as we saw with the Luminous Realm Lords, it also blows up our faults, right? Competition and hubris can run rampant. It's a place that doesn't so much change its inhabitants as it exposes them by inflating all of the best and worst parts of you. You'll never get a clear reflection of who you are. And we saw this with the elves, right? So much potential and power and hope, but it was their own nature, the greed and the arrogance and the status, that when you magnify that, there was an inevitable downfall. And I like this. It's a weird realm because a lot of its themes are very intangible, right? You know, how do you make a mountain that reflects enlightenment? It's a kind of a strange thing. But I like this setting because it creates a lot of the internal drama that drives some of the elven factions. And the way that it was used to kind of bolster the other realms, right? The enlightenment engines going everywhere, bringing this power of Hysh to other places. You can see what mortal life is like when it's in Hysh just by the fact of like the heights that we were able to achieve during the Age of Myth. Anyway, those are my thoughts. If you have more ideas on how to model something from Hysh specifically, go ahead and leave in the comments down below. I'd love to read it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was made possible by the folks over here to the left. These are my top supporters over here on YouTube and on Patreon that keep this channel going. If you'd like to learn more about how to become a supporter and get some cool things in the process, like exclusive pictures and interactions with me, and get your questions answered here on the channel, go ahead and click any of the links down below or the join button on the community page over on YouTube. Regardless of your choice, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me with this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Happy wargaming.